boom. Supposedly alive once again. I'll do a quick audio check, because I would like to know that. I'd like to not be a massive boomer. We have audio, ladies and gentlemen. It is with great happiness I announce that we have in fact managed to not mess up the thing that I usually don't mess up, so it's not even that much of an achievement. Wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah, right. Drawing, right? I can already tell this is gonna go great because I am totally not really tired after a bunch of manual labor. And this is totally not going to turn into any kind of disaster whatsoever, and I'll definitely not fall asleep. That's definitely not gonna happen. I'd never fall asleep live on stream, that would be ridiculous. Okay, anyways, guys, what am I doing? I'm drawing. Right, yeah, so today's idea for a setup is something like you are looking from the perspective of a like corridor, so maybe like it's like off to the side, and you're looking into a corridor like very deeply, and then I think it should be like the camera should be close to the floor. That's the basic premise. So like imagine something like this. I'll get into the colors shortly. I just want to have like a rough idea of what the frame is gonna look like. So like and the corridor should be fairly wide. So like this is kind of the perspective you're looking from. You're looking like down the whole corridor, and then this is like actually like even further in there, like that's where one of the things that's gonna be like the key to this thing is gonna, I'm very descriptive, I realize. Okay, so like imagine we have this, right, and then we have like just a bunch of flames going like clearly coming in from the left to the right, and we have a guy basically running away from the flames. That's the idea. That's the like first setup, and this is gonna probably look horrible. Like whatever, you can kind of see the you can kind of see the idea. It doesn't matter if it looks horrible, we'll expand on it and like fix it later. So the idea is like there's a guy that just run out of there, and he's now running away from the fire. Like he's a little scared, maybe looking slightly behind him, like at the fire, you know. That's the idea. Like you see that in the background, and then this kind of ties into the color I want to use for this. So the idea would be, let me disable flux a little bit, because flux is currently making the entire screen just about the same color, and that is like orange yellow. Like the idea would be that most of the image is actually dark. So have like maybe this darkness, and then we have very obvious and like attention catching fire here. So like this is strongly like orange and yellow because it's just a raging inferno over here, right? Like you have just fire over there, and it's very bright. That's the point. It draws a lot of attention, because you know, if the whole canvas is dark and then there's just one place where there's fire, that's gonna make you pay attention. So then you have like, you know, you have the walls of the corridor being highlighted by that. You probably have the guy casting some kind of shadow, which is like very spread out. It's like darker closer to him, and then like expands to like, yeah, basic point, guys running away, and then there's like gradients from being close to the fire to being very dark. So like something like this, and this is like generally orangey in feel. That's the plan. We got like, the point is there's something glowing over there, and kind of the circular kind. Oh, sorry, I punched the mic on accident. The circular highlight around the thing that's glowing is going to do a little bit more work for drawing the viewer's attention to the point where I want the attention to be. That's kind of one idea. Let me actually save this before I like accidentally explode or anything else undesirable happens. Yeah, sure, we'll continue saving everything under just numbers. I've given up on trying to come up with titles for things. It's no longer something I care about in the slightest. Okay, so now you have like this guy running away from the fire, and then the second kind of part that is supposed to like hit you a little bit. It's like there's like a big section of this hallway that's just collapsed, like this. So like, you know, like this is just rubble effectively. Maybe some of it actually could be, you know, maybe some rebar, you know, some sticking out, something like that. Then this, you know, you can see that it's a hole in the hallway. Huh? Get it? A hallway, because it has a hole. I'll see myself out actually. Sorry guys, I'm ending the stream. It's over. We are not talking anymore. I think my talking license should be probably revoked after that. I would not even be mad, to be honest. That's horrible. Anyways, so something like this, right? It's like you've got the corridor being collapsed. So the guy's running away. And in the hole, because I only ever draw about like 2 different things, I'd like a view of like a reactor of some sort, like alien, science fiction, whatever technology. I don't know what this is gonna look like yet, as you can probably tell by the fact that I'm just... there's no design to this. Sony Ericsson is... we're gonna copy the old Sony, the old Sony logo, apparently. I'm thinking like we could kind of steal a concept from Ori and the Blind Forest and like have this actually like produce water. And I've also already stole this concept once. But it's like I kind of like the idea of the guy's running from fire, and then, you know, for the sheer opportunity he runs into this place that it has water. Although I think that's kind of on the nose a little bit. You know what? I don't like the idea anymore. Cancel it. Cancel. Scratch that. It's not gonna be water. I'm gonna come up with something else. But the reason why I was even mentioning that it could be water is because I'd like to play on the contrast and like difference in the colors of between blue and yellow / orange. The point is to basically have something like this, right? And this is admittedly also, I've drawn something like this before, but we'll call it iterative development instead of yoinking previous ideas, because it sounds a little bit better for the marketing. Now you may ask, what marketing? Which would be a very fine point to make, because me and marketing go together like bread and a nuclear missile, I guess, to keep up the funny, random, quirky humor. Now the composition of this is wrong, because this is not, like, this is very off-center. I think the hole's too big, probably. What we should do is we should probably have this guy at like 1/3 here, so like around this point, this is where the guy in the fire should be, and then this orb should be like kind of a little bit the opposite of that. So I'm gonna move it to like here. This is where I want the orb to be. Okay. Yeah, it's going pretty well. Going pretty well so far. And then I'm thinking, like, yeah, have the guy running away, like, maybe over here? Possible. Although, I do like it looking at him from like, bottom, and just having this slightly, like, the core, or whatever we call it, having it slightly up. Because that's... like, the point is, you are supposed to feel like you are on the ground looking up at the big orb. It's supposed to be somewhat, at least, imposing. So I'm thinking, like, yeah, we wanna either have this guy like that, or this is actually a problem with the perspective itself. So, like, we are still a little bit up from the floor, and we shouldn't be. I think that's the issue. Now, as you can see, I've clearly already pivoted from just using color to mixing colors and sketches, because I think then you get the best of both worlds with an approach like this, because sketches are much better at representing, like, space. There you go, this is much better immediately. Like, sketching is better at representing perspective and certain, like, objects and, like, general shape of a thing. I don't know about shape, but, like, if you wanna build geometry and have, like, a feel for what the space is going to be like, then actually sketching it out is a good way to accomplish that. Meanwhile, colors and color sketches and placing blobs of color where you want these colors to be in the final image is better for illustrating maybe, like, the general feel of what you are trying to accomplish is better realized like that. Is better realized through the color, but the actual geometry is certainly better served by actually using something that is more suited to doing geometry. Because big blobs of color, not really very geometrical. You could argue. Entirely possible to argue. Boom. Yes, something like this. Something like this. I think this basically has the idea. Pretty on the money. I think this hole maybe should be more like that, and then, because we don't even see where the wall becomes ceiling on this corridor, which I think is slightly detrimental. Because I'd like, ideally, something like that, where you see the edge of the... You see the edge of the corridor become the ceiling on the other end of the hole. And I think for that, I can use something like this, where it's like a harsher angle. Because that, if it's more geometrical, then it feels a little bit more connected. And then we can maybe branch off of that into... like, there's a crack. you know, between that and the ceiling. Not to be confused with crack. A crack is very different from crack. For legal reasons, I have not learned that from experience. Oh, but it's like important for this to be like that. So it can't be. We don't actually have that. Like, it's not accurate. Maybe something like this. And then we know there's a little bit of a... It's like something just collapsed here, but I think this is a little overboard. Because I want this to be... Because I want kind of the implication to be that the guy running down the hallway is gonna... Like, is running towards the blue light that's gonna be falling into here. So it's like he gets away from the orange and goes towards the blue, is the idea. The kind of... Okay, so like, imagine we have like the light. It's something like that. You know, those things are very well highlighted by the blue. And then you have the maybe like a little rim light over here. And then the surfaces that most closely would reflect the blue thing actually have like an additional layer of highlight on top of that. And then it's like this is too big actually. It shouldn't be that big. It should be more like this. Because then the point becomes that like the light from that is kind of spreading into the hallway. You see that kind of deal? Like the guy is running away and he sees that light from afar. That's kind of the point. And then we can, yeah, just make the... Gooding indeed. I thought I'm gonna be able to touch on some autistic topics I've been thinking about, but that's gonna have to wait for when I'm a little more sober. For now, I'm gonna be barely hanging onto not falling over while drawing. Playing with baby. Congratulations. Say hi to baby. A secret message for baby. Agent baby. You're now on a mission. I don't know what the mission is yet. Maybe I'll figure that out later. It's possible. Okay, so like this should be darker, maybe less saturated a little bit. Like this should be a little shadow of these like little mounds. And then this should also be like a fairly clear boundary. It's like these things are casting shadow into the hallway. That's the kind of point. And we can maybe also cover this with... No, because this looks like it's for some reason covered in blue paint. It's not what I'm going for. Yeah, the point is there's like light bouncing around this inner area. And it should generally just be lighter than this whole thing. Although, I'm not sure how I'm gonna accomplish that, to be honest. It's a little bit of a mystery. Top 10 things science still can't answer. How are we going to represent the inside of that if this is how bright I made everything already? Probably I'll have to tone down the colors a little bit on the part that I already have. Because the point is the corridor is supposed to be darker than the whole thing, but then also the light falling into here, it's like very intense and very saturated also. Like what color do I use for the interior here? Because if I use this, then the entire picture is just completely off balance, because this gigantic, like, bright blob takes away all the attention from the fire on the left. So I'm thinking perhaps it's enough to just use a lighter color than the corridor and not saturate it so that it is visible, like, behind it. I'm thinking, yeah, put that layer in the background and then we... Oh, and we can use this to emphasize the light being, like, projected out of this. If we, like, saturate this a little bit. But maybe don't... Not too hard, okay? Not too hard. Careful with the saturation. Maybe. We'll circle around. And then perhaps... No, that's too dark. The point would be to have the edges of this... Like, I don't want them to be darker than the corridor necessarily. Not sure. Because it also kind of remains to be resolved. What the hell is actually in there in terms of geometry? I don't... You know, the initial idea I came up with for this didn't actually specify what the hell is in there. My brain completely no information delivered. Very obtuse. Slightly annoying, to be honest. I wish my brain would provide me clear and readable instructions, but alas, we are stuck here with a vague picture from the imagination. And it's like, figure it out yourself, lol. And so here I am, trying to figure it out myself. I'll just give this guy some color so we can basically see what he's gonna look like. Yeah, the point is gonna be he's, like, lit up by the fire. That's the whole point. But is he on fire? I don't know. The Jerry's still out in this one. We don't know if he's on fire or not. Okay, how about I throw all of these colors onto a separate layer entirely. Is that feasible? Possible? Lasso and, like, deselect this, please. Okay, nice. We have this on a separate layer, and then we actually throw this on a separate layer as well. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. And then let's make this guy... Wait, this could... This, like, completely overblowing the brightness on this. I can kind of see this working. It's supposed to be glowy, right? So, like, I'd throw in probably, like, a bloom effect on top of it as well to illustrate that it's just very bright. But this light shouldn't be so blue, because I think that as light gets more intense, the main beam of light that's hitting these surfaces would be way more white, and then the edges would be what actually shows the color of the light. The main beam is just white because you can't represent it really in the space. So let's say channel saturation, but can I... Oh, no, I can't. I wish I could. So, like this is the opposite, kind of, although not really. This is crunching the thing a little bit. I'm, like, deep frying it, but the point would be to make this very bright and white. Something like this is a little bit better, although, like, first of all, it's more saturated overall, so that is, like, immediately good. It works. But now we'd, like, take these, aside from this blue, and we desaturate it, and we bump up the brightness to, like, almost. And bring a little bit of that blue in there. Like, just a tiny bit of blue. And then, yeah. Something like this, and now it doesn't fit the color, because this is supposed to be like what the actual light color is, so like shifted towards cyan. Now we are getting somewhere, maybe. Although, like, I'd like to saturate it a little bit. And this is still light. Like, you know. And then, okay, where's the corridor colors? This? No, this. Okay, so now this point should be the darkest. If for no other reason, then it brings good contrast, but also for the reason that when presented with like contrasting areas, we would naturally think of this as darker. It's like that. But then the opposite wall, because this would bounce all over the place, like over here. Actually, the ceiling shouldn't be this dark as well. So like this wall is the darkest. It's not even that dark over here, but there is the darkest over there. And then we kind of undarken this a little bit. That's like less dark is like over there between the fire and the light. And then we have like a whole section that's basically about this neutral gray, like something like that, but maybe slightly actually shifted towards the blue-ish version of it. And same with this wall. This wall would have a bunch of light bouncing onto it. It's like, I think it's fair for this wall to be, and this floor really as well, to be like largely... Actually, the floor probably should be darker. Something like this, maybe. Not fully quite convinced that this is a good idea and it actually works. It's like, I'm gonna fall asleep in a moment. I think we're gonna have to hit the emergency exit button on the stream. I thought I can handle it. I'm like, I couldn't. It was a paranoid delusion that I am in a state to handle a full length stream of talking. So this will probably have to suffice, unfortunately. I mean, it's a start of something. Maybe I can carve it into... Maybe I can carve it into a workable scene later. This geometry looks goofy, and this also looks bad. It doesn't look like a wall, it looks like it's like crooked a little bit, which just doesn't work with what I'm actually trying to accomplish. You know what? I like this as a starting point. But I am rapidly falling asleep. So I'll continue this maybe tomorrow, or maybe at some other point, or maybe something. I don't know. I will emergency exit into my bed. It's time to sleep. Apologies for the short stream, but we'll be back at some point, perhaps. Anyway, goodbye, good night.